I know many of you have made a lot of fun of me and the national media in general for how we started the last college football season celebrating Deion Sanders, and then all they did the rest of the season was lose. And Colorado has sent out a bunch of numbers about how he has helped admissions, how in general he's brought a great deal of money to Colorado that football brings when football is relevant. And now, when college football becomes more mercenary than it's ever been, more overtly business than it's ever been, he is shaking at the constructs of everything by going on a podcast and saying that his son Shedeur, that he's going to be a top 4 pick, and Travis Hunter is going to be a top 4 pick, and he's saying that he's going to Eli the situation, that there are certain teams they will not play for. That, and I said, when I say top 4, he's not saying 4 rounds. He's saying the first 4 picks. And Deion Sanders is going to be dad who isn't going to allow the business to control where his son goes. He's going to be Archie Manning. Archie Manning made this mess with Eli. Eli didn't want to go to San Diego, wanted to play in New York. Archie Manning's motives were very simple. Archie Manning was great at quarterback and played for a bunch of losing teams and didn't want his sons beat up by bad organizations. And so he simply wouldn't allow his son Eli Manning to play for the Chargers. And Deion's going to do the same thing with his son.
And Travis Hunter, which is also a very curious setup that they have. Gives you insight into the type of relationship he has with Travis Hunter, because he is treated like he's a son, and he's giving voice to that.
But not only is he treated like a son, you guys have to understand that one of the master businessmen in the history of athletes making money in sports has 2 chips and isn't going to do the NFL the way everyone else does the NFL. How do you imagine it's going to go? Because it was one thing when Caleb Williams' dad is testing the confines of the freedom, saying, well, wait a minute, I don't understand the rookie scale. Why can't my son have partial ownership in the team? Why are there all these rules? If you make the finances start in college and you start giving the players power, you realize they're going to start shaking the entirety of the system if they're good enough to do it.
But also, we'll see, right? Like, Eli was the number 1 pick and was still drafted number 1, and then they had kind of like their tantrum, and then they eventually got what they wanted. He's saying Shedeur is going to be a top 4 pick, but he still has to play next season and be a top 4 pick. And then also, like, if you don't like him at number 4, where the money's like $36.9 million, you like him at number 23, are you going to sign for 14.9 and cost him $20 million to prove a point?
You're absolutely right, but we'll see is a lot less fun than thinking of Deion trying to do what Caleb Williams' dad was doing to the NFL, because it won't be as quiet. It won't be as shadows. It won't be as leaked reports over here say that they think Caleb Williams' dad is a problem. Deion's not going to back down from that.
I don't know if it's been reported, but I can tell you Caleb Williams was, as you can probably gather from some of his public comments, Caleb Williams was exploring every single possible option. I know he was getting plenty of advice and was really considering entering the supplemental draft potentially. And even he kind of succumbed to the fact that, yeah, you're going to go to Chicago. So we haven't really seen someone that isn't considered a consensus top 3 pick flex in this way without baseball or something else to leverage. Kyler Murray did so. John Elway did so. Famously, they had their options.
So right now, in a different sport, we're seeing LeBron James thinking that Bronny James is a lot better than scouts seem to think Bronny James is, particularly when you factor in the cardiac concern.
He has backed off that a little bit.
Okay, so it's not the least bit surprising that Deion Sanders would do what he's doing or think the world of his son, but I really do have to know that his son is a top 4 pick, because I haven't heard that. Now,
he's projected.
His son's good, man.
He's projected. I see a mock draft for 2025 where he's the first pick.
Yeah, he's up there. And Travis Hunter, like, it's not outside the realm of possibility, especially if they put together a good year,
right,
that they're both top 5 picks.
Big variable, though.
Okay, but we can, again.
More power to him. More power to Deion Sanders.
Careful with that.
For trying to take control.
No, but careful. More power to Deion Sanders. Be careful. Be careful with how much power you give Deion Sanders, because look, what you and Billy are saying is absolutely fair. It's also not interesting to think of them not being able to challenge the system. But Deion Sanders, as stage dad for his quarterback son, not wanting certain cities to draft his son, he's going to name those cities. This stuff won't happen quietly. It's going to be done publicly because this person isn't interested in doing business the way these entities have always done business. They've welcomed him into an opportunity at Colorado where he is making a great deal of money and making a great deal of money for others, doing it the way that he has. To give him 2 bargaining chips in the top 5 will allow him to shake the system on behalf of his kids. His kids wouldn't have the strength to do it on their own, and most dads wouldn't have the strength to do it or the money to do it on their own.
It would also be really good marketing for his brand because you'd have 2 marquee names up there showing this special relationship. And if you're familiar with his recruiting strategy, he does go for certain kids, and he can slot into that almost father figure for a lot of these kids. But you don't often hear about Cormani McLean no longer being around practice over there. And I know Jason Whitlock has set out to interview plenty of players that he's just been giving the cold shoulder to that he ended up cutting. And their accounts of their interactions with Deion Sanders are certainly not as fatherly.
I mean, if I was a prospect, I think it'd be reasonable also to wonder his commitment to Colorado past next year, right? When you're kind of talking about this and this is the end game, I'm going to try to get them where I want them in the NFL draft. If I'm going in, I'd be like, are you still going to be here after they're gone? Like, if this is your focus right now?
When you say the fatherly thing, that one is interesting because I'm sure he will be an exceptional father to you if you are exceptional. And I'm not even saying that about his blood. I'm saying about everyone else on his roster.
No doubt.